Hi, everybody. Welcome to Miami Lit Podcast, our first episode after a bit of a break. So I'm very excited for this to be our first official one with Max Dolce.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm very happy that we were able to connect and, do this.
Yeah, this is very exciting because you are the mastermind, the creator of this amazing game that's going to be hitting the shelves, as they say.
Hopefully.
Very, very soon. We'll get into the details about that, but this is the green card game.
Yes. Mm-hmm. This is the green card game. And, the tagline is learn your citizenship. The whole idea behind the green card game is that you have to answer 3 general trivia questions in order to get a shot at answering a green card. And the kicker is that the green cards are actually the questions on the citizenship test.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a fun spin with it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I have so many questions for you about this. I'm super excited. But with like anything, let's start at the beginning.
Absolutely.
How did you arrive at this? Connect the dots for me.
Yeah, sure. So it was actually kind of a funny story. I had lost my job during the COVID times.
Yeah.
So I moved back home with my dad. And during dinner one night, or after dinner one night, the family was sitting around the table playing card games. Some were wildly inappropriate to play, and some were just boring and whatnot. But then a card was dealt about Mount Rushmore. And so I asked my sister, if she knew who the 4 presidents that were on the mountain. And she's like, I have no idea. And my dad was like, Americans don't know, the important things about our country. And then me being the youngest brother in the family, I had to make a joke with her. So I was like, yeah, well, I bet she knows who the Kardashian sisters are.
Touché.
So my dad and I literally just looked across the table and it was like a light bulb went off. And we were like, wow, that is actually a good idea for a trivia card game.
That is super cool.
Yeah. So during that time, because I had, lost my job, I was just literally working on this day and night, just trying to perfect it, going through all these different ideas of.
So you dove right in, like there wasn't a period of questioning. Should I do it? Would it be like?
I had nothing else going on,
Yeah.
So I was just like, let me just kind of roll the dice on this and see how things fare. And, I think where we've, kind of made and molded the game into what it is today. Yeah. It's very different than when it started from the beginning, by all means. But nowadays, where it is now, it's, the forefront of it is that it's family friendly and that it's educational. Right. So that's kind of where it landed.
I love all of that. Well, the reason why I asked you that is because it feels like, and you tell me in your experience, but it feels like a lot of creative people, it takes them a while to really put all those ideas into action. So it's so interesting that you just like went for it.
Yeah, it was, that's kind of like how I've, I guess, been, with my profession as being a designer and whatnot, that you just kind of have to trust the process in a sense. And my dad having the background of being in product development and whatnot. So we were just really working together hand in hand. And we just kind of made it to what it is right now. Yeah, it took 4 years, but we're there.
4 years. Yeah. My goodness. Yeah, that's a huge commitment. But you mentioned you were, or you are, I shouldn't say were, you are a designer. When did you first realize that was your thing, your career?
Yeah, so I'm an apparel designer. And basically growing up, my mom worked at Saks Fifth Ave. And like I said, my dad was in product development. And so my mom would always take me to Saks Fifth Ave stores, and
I'm so jealous.
It was fun, it was good times. But she would take me in, and I would always count the steps between the racks of the different clothes, and she would stop and touch things. And now I do that every single time I'm out shopping. And I just kind of had this gravitation towards clothing at that point. And then from there, at a young age, I was actually introduced to a fashion designer named Massimo Rigucci, who he designed for Ferragamo. And we were sitting down at a table having dinner one night, and I was knee high to a grasshopper. I was a kid, but he taught me how to draw a pair of high heels or high heel shoes. And then from there, I just kind of like, my brain just knew like that's what I wanted to do. So I just got like an addiction towards drawing and creating clothes. different designs. And then I moved to Baltimore, went to Towson University. And while I was there, I actually was blessed to have an internship to work for Under Armour, where I worked really hard throughout the internship, and then 8 years later was there, and then unfortunately it's when I lost my job. But
COVID, right?
Yeah, COVID, that whole thing. But that's kind of really what kind of stuck with me, was taking my passion from being an athlete and into fitness, and then also designing and drawing and whatnot, and it just kind of helped me lead into my path at Under Armour.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And how did those skills translate into designing a game?
So like the major program when designing kind of like anything nowadays is Adobe Illustrator. So I just became very proficient in Adobe Illustrator, learning from top designers of different companies. I was at Sean John for a little bit. I was at Aniche and a few other companies interning and whatnot. But I learned from these great designers on how to like really utilize the program. And then from there kind of branched out and actually designed packaging for a hot sauce company while I was in Baltimore. And then I just kind of used all of those things that I've learned to curtail this. And then, with studying trends and how to connect design to product and how that really gravitates towards the customer, when I created this game, that's where you see all these elements of like American icons and culture. And then even with the rule booklet, how it's, it looks like a passport, so it's all those fine details to really finish off the product.
It's super, super cool. You can tell so much work went into this.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I'm very excited for you guys.
Thank
I'm very
you.
excited for me to get to play the game, to be honest.
Thank you.
So you touched about the idea of the game and how that came about and that spark of the moment inspiration. What was your favorite game as a kid with your family?
So card games, I think that my favorite one was solitaire.
Yeah.
My grandfather and my grandmother, they taught me how to play solitaire at such a young age that, even nowadays when I'm flying on an airport or flying on an airplane and there's a screen, like I'm just playing solitaire
That's
for
what you're
hours.
doing.
That's all I'm doing. Yeah. But Uno was also a fun game to play. I love Risk. I love Clue. So I'm just like a kind of like a board game and card game nerd at that sense. Yeah.
Is that something you guys did often, like have family night with games and stuff?
Well, my mom, my dad were very busy traveling and working. So my grandparents really did have like a hand in raising us. So we would play a lot of games with them. But then when Nintendo 64 came out and Sega and all this stuff, then my brother and I were just glued in front of a TV.
Yeah.
So that's,
But this, and I'm sure for a lot of parents, they can relate to that, to their kids being glued to the screen. So this is like a nice pull away from that.
Yeah, it definitely is something that I wanted to kind of engage in this game, was to bring that family game night atmosphere back, but also keep it fun and as an experience of learning, because that's kind of what this, it's not kind of, it's what this game is all about.
Yeah. It's awesome. I wish this had been around when I was still in the classroom. That's for sure. It's super, super cool. So the game encapsulates a lot. You just mentioned like it's family friendly, it's fun, it has educational components.
Yep.
Walk me through like making sure you hit all those marks, because it's easy to say, but it must have been difficult, right? To make sure that you hit all of these really big deals.
Yeah. So, being the writer and the creator of the game, I didn't want it to be solely focused on my world and on my bubble of interests. So playing the game with family and friends and then even random people actually helped expand the categories and expand the questions, because what might be an easy question for me isn't an easy question for somebody else, and vice versa. So that's kind of where, like even my girlfriend coming in and being a part of this game, she's like, nobody's going to know that, she's like, people down in Florida, they don't really know what's going on in the Northeast. So like, you kind of have to bring it more geographically across, state lines and whatnot, and different cultures and backgrounds and whatnot. So that's kind of where we ended up moving the game into and massaging all the questions to making it, a game that really does have casts a large net, as you would say.
Yeah. So lots of research.
Yeah, lots of research, lots of rabbit holes for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
What was the research process like? Because you hit a lot of, you have so many, so you obviously American history, we have restaurants, companies, there's trivia, right?
Yeah.
Like,
So
there's
it's
still movies.
Yeah, movies. I mean, it's pop culture, it's history, it's sports, it's like you said, restaurants, company mottos, stuff like that. But everything really, you see a commercial on TV, like call JG Wentworth. 877 cash now. Like, oh, that's a trivia question, like, so, and then you do that. And then all of a sudden you lead into another question. And like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that, 1 out of 8 Americans actually worked at McDonald's. So it's like, there's yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's so many facts in here that like you don't realize, but sometimes, there's easier questions as well. But like when you watch the Super Bowl, you get questions from the Super Bowl, so you it's a rabbit hole. It's just constant research, staying up late, typing questions, fact checking everything and whatnot.
So where do you see the game in, let's say, 5 years?
Well, hopefully in every American game cover, right?
And classroom.
And classroom too. That would be great. But in this game is obviously like the 2024 edition. Right. So we do have ideas on how we can expand the game where you can do expansion packs. So, if you live in California, we can do an expansion pack of 150 questions on just California. Right. And so we want to open it up to all states. And all different types of interests. So if you love baseball, we can do a deck about just baseball. If you love football, if you love theater, if you love movies, so if we just kind of want to grow that type of community in order to have fun over this game.
Right. Mm-hmm. So in our prep for this interview, we really talked about some American values, and some that we discussed was like the idea of togetherness and just good old clean fun. Do you think that's something that we need to focus more on as a society?
Yeah, I think unfortunately, we're in rough times as a society and as a country. And what I'm hoping for with this game, it kind of just we just have a little fun, and we just kind of realize like, how great our country actually is. I mean, we're not perfect. No country is, but we do have a lot to celebrate in this country at the same time. And this being a clean, fun, educational game, kind of shines on that. And then again, also the irony, the fact that, you may know who all the stars on the TV show Friends are, but you don't know what the first 10 amendments are to the Constitution. Right. And those are questions that people coming into this country have to study hard, and they have to dedicate hours of research into making sure that they can answer the citizenship test question in order to get it right. So it's kind of shining a light on like the irony that as privileged Americans, who we are, born in this country,
100%.
that we don't have to go through that anxiety of having to go through a citizenship test question.
That's a good word for it, the anxiety.
Yeah, I can't imagine what they go through. God bless them. I can't imagine what they go through.
I remember my parents like studying at night, like, and having us like test them, and it's like, here, read me the questions, and making sure, and obviously not really mastering the language 100%. Yeah, trying to make sure they would get it correct.
Yeah, I honestly, I can't imagine.
And when they went through that thing, and the test, and they got it, it was like you would think we had won the World War. It was such a.
Those are the type of things that we like to celebrate, though. Yeah, because it's like hardworking people coming to this country, and they do it to better themselves and to better the family's futures. So, like, I love hearing those stories. Yeah. I have friends that actually use this game to study for the test. Yeah. And, that's amazing. It's just, it means a lot, Yeah. It does mean a lot.
And I really think it's important what you were able to accomplish here with reminding people to remember, well, obviously remind them that it really is a privilege to live here. Yeah. And as it's not perfect, but we do enjoy so many things that I know where I come from, it was not given to me. So, that's
and you
amazing.
Came from Cuba, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, the fact that your family was able to come over here and look at you today, I mean, like, that's amazing.
Yeah. And we don't take for granted the simple things like being able to vote, being able to have a say in certain things. Yeah. Just being able to speak your mind. Yeah. We were not allowed to do that.
That's what's wild.
Not even as kids.
Yeah.
You know,
So that's
even
the
as a
thing.
kid, you would get in trouble for saying certain things.
Yeah. I mean, I got in a lot of trouble saying certain things as a kid. I will admit. But I will say that, those are the type of things that I hope that we can highlight in this game is that, don't take things for granted. Like being an American.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something to be proud of.
Absolutely.
And, whether you were born here or not.
Exactly.
You made it.
Yeah.
So why do you think Americans don't really know their history too much, too well?
I think that's a loaded question.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine. I mean, I think there's just a lot going on, right? With everything in the world and all the distractions that we have. I mean, social media, even though, we're on social media for the card game. But like video games, I feel like in a world that's so connected from technology, we've managed to become so disconnected from each other.
Right.
And I think that is just one of the things that, again, we're trying to highlight in this game that like, no matter your background, no matter your, where you grew up, where you're from, if you're an American citizen, born and raised, or if you if you came here and, became an American citizen, like that's what this game is ideally meant to do, is to shine a light on, the importance and hopefully bring that back to everybody. Because like I said, I mean, it just blows my mind. My friends that are American born and raised, they don't know the citizenship test questions.
Yeah.
But my friends who are trying to become American citizens, they would blow us out of the water in this game, and those are the important questions, so it's just wild. It's wild
that is really, really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy how that works. I would love to see this game in a classroom and see how well the kids knew the answers to the questions.
I'm kind of scared for that outcome, not gonna lie. But I think so when I first made this game, which is the first rendition, what I did was that I took index study cards and address stickers and wrote questions, printed them and stuck them on here. And this is what I did, during COVID with my dad. But I remember playing this game with my cousin at the time. She was a teenager, and she was beating all of us in this game. And I'm just, because she took the courses and she was in the classes. But then her parents were just like, who wrote Declaration of Independence? I don't remember that question. That was so long ago, So it's crazy. It's crazy to see how that transitions.
So speaking of American history, what's your favorite part? Favorite period?
Oh, man. I mean, so I'm a big war buff, because war shapes history, it shapes, the world and everything. So you learn a lot from that. But in American history, I mean, we're so close to Independence Day, right? Right now filming this, that everything on Netflix is like George Washington and, the founding fathers and all that stuff. So I've been watching all these shows and whatnot. But I would say, so I would say it's probably post World War II, how this country really just boomed, elevated throughout that time. My grandfather, being a decorated World War II veteran, front lines in D-Day all the way to St. Lo, and was wounded by a buzz bomb. But, just like how the country really shifted, because when he was a kid, he was poor. And then, I mean, he didn't die a rich man, but by any means, but he was able to support and have a family where he didn't, I don't think, prior to the war, that he would have had that opportunity, because America was basically unscathed through that time frame. And so the amount of money that just came into this country, and the growth of housing and the stock market and everything, I mean, that would be a really cool time in history to even just take the DeLorean and go back in time and see how that happened.
Take a quick detour.
Yeah, exactly.
That is such an interesting time and so scary. But yet there's so much hope.
Yeah.
Which has always been so interesting to me, that dichotomy. It's so dangerous. You literally in a world war.
Yeah.
But they had so much hope, and just did whatever it took to.
They came all together. You know, it's kind of wild. I mean, you had,
it's like they were built differently.
Right?
They
don't make Americans like that anymore. No. That's for sure. And my grandfather,
humans,
my grandfather at 93 years old, it was just like he still had it. You know, like it was great. They do not make Americans.
He made it to 93.
Yeah, he made it to actually 96. But when he was in 93, like 94, I was getting a little
they started
downhill.
losing.
Yeah, but he was a great man.
Oh
Absolutely great man.
What a blessing that you were able to be around him.
Yeah, and then during COVID, like I was able to live because he lived at my dad's, so I was able to live with him and spend more time with him. And it was rough, but it was still it was beautiful getting to have that time with my grandfather. Family's important.
You just made me because my grandfather's in hospice right now.
Oh man, I'm so sorry.
And he's 94, I want to say. Yeah. So I see what you're saying. Like he's starting to
slow down a little bit.
To like he's there sometimes, and other times he's not.
I'll be sending prayers.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He's, we're just blessed that we've had him as long as we have.
Yeah.
But so what's your favorite monument?
Well, talking about our grandfathers. So my grandmother and my grandfather buried in Arlington National Cemetery. I wouldn't really call that a monument because, it's a cemetery, but kind of is. But I remember when my grandmother passed away and she was buried in Arlington, that my grandfather walked us around the World War II memorial. And that was really cool, like a very different experience. And he was pointing out all these battles on like all the on like the monument. And he's like, "Oh, I was in that battle."
That must have been surreal to get it from like a firsthand account.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. So I'd say that the World War II monument is definitely like my favorite for sure.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, I can see why. Do you have a favorite president?
No. No. The thing is, nobody's perfect, right?
Right.
And like, I feel like we got to stop looking at these presidents as like the next coming of the Messiah. Like they're going to be so perfect and fix all of our problems. It's like, no, it's on us to fix our problems, right? And again, why this game hopefully brings us a little bit closer together to each other. But I would say, interesting things about like Teddy Roosevelt, George Washington, there's like all these, great past presidents. They've done such great things and, kind of also some sketchy things along the road, but nobody's perfect. Like I said,
they're human. So I guess we'll excuse them. So since you don't have a favorite, if you could spend the day with anybody from history, obviously American history, who would it be? And what would you guys do?
I honestly, Harriet Tubman.
Oh my gosh, that's a good one.
I don't know if I can say this, but she was badass. Like
I think she deserves that adjective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She what she did during the Underground Railroad, like that is like so outstanding.
Takes balls.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Seriously. And I think I would want to be like, with Harriet Tubman, just kind of like, okay, tell me how you did this. You know, like there's just so much behind that a lot of people don't even realize. That's true. The fighting and just, the secrecy that they had to go through.
Yeah.
So I think that would be like a really cool person
for sure
to share a glass of whiskey with or something.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
What
about you? Who would you hang out with?
I wasn't prepared for this question, but let me see. I don't know. Everyone. Well, here, I'll go with my favorite president. And this is obvious. They're going to be like, of course he's going to pick that guy. So Lincoln. I am fascinated by that man.
Yeah.
And the amount of strength that he had to go through what he went through. Yeah. Just the loss in his life.
Yeah.
To me, it's incredible.
Did you know that Abraham Lincoln was the first U.S. president that was born outside of the original 13 colonies?
I feel like I should have known that, but no.
It's in the card game. It's in the card game.
No, I didn't realize that. That's true.
Another interesting fact about him is that 2 days after he was assassinated, But I'm sorry. Yeah. So he was, I get all this stuff mixed up. But 2 days before he was assassinated, he actually started the Secret Service.
Yes, that I did know.
Okay, you knew that.
I did
okay.
know.
Yeah, that's a little bit more common. But
it is. Yeah.
But he's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
Very.
And maybe I don't know, maybe George Washington's wife. I'd spend the day with her, see what her day was like, what she would do.
She ran their farm. I mean,
right?
When she was out there, I mean, or when George was out there, they had actually a very big one of the largest flour and wheat production facilities in the colonies back at that time.
That I did not know.
And so when he went off to war, she actually was running the farms and making sure that everything was, being smooth and whatnot. And then when, what's his name? Cornwallis, I believe it was. I forget which general it was, but, actually it was Benedict Arnold. When Benedict Arnold trade coded and went over to the British, he was going to go up to Virginia to kind of like smoke Virginia out and just like burn everything. So then George Washington was like, absolutely not. And then sent, I forget who he sent. I think it was Gates. I forget who. But anyways, I'm going off on a tangent here.
No, this is awesome. I love it. I did not know that. I mean, obviously I knew she took care of the farm, but I didn't know there was like, there's so much.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot about George Washington. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I want to go back to, since we spent quite a bit of time on the American history component, I want to go back to all the other categories that will cater to other interests and not just us history buffs. What was that process like, creating all those? I can't imagine the amount of hours and research that you guys
It was like
devoted.
Thousands of questions that I've written. Like absolutely. Probably like 3,000, 4,000 questions written. And again, like I just said before, it's just like a rabbit hole. So I'd be sitting there watching TV and something would come up and it's just like, oh, okay, let me research that. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, well, that connects to this and this connects to that. So all of a sudden, I'm on, I'm looking at like who was the first team to win the Super Bowl.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I'm on, what happened in 1942 during a baseball game. It's just like the way the internet kind of gives you all this plethora of information. You just can't stop, and especially if you're dedicated to creating something, you just have to get the best questions that's going to keep people engaged in the game and keep it fun and lighthearted.
That must have been so much fun, though. Like, aside all the hard work, though, you guys must have had a good time.
Yeah, we had a great time. And then, after I finished all these questions, I have one of the original first boxes here. Those questions were like going to be the starter. And then my girlfriend was like, babe, we can't have those questions in this game. Like you said, it's 13 plus. You can't have some of those questions in here.
Yeah.
So then it was really filling in the gaps of like, let's add in some like, movie questions about Disney or, I'm a huge Toy Story fan. So all of a sudden it's like Toy Story questions. Okay, let's fill it out. So, so then now we have this copy right here, which kind of encapsulates a lot of just, just like American culture.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's funny, you'll know Buzz Lightyear's tagline, but you don't know the rights of the Constitution. Yeah.
That's true.
So that's again the irony that we're trying to bring back in.
Good point. So you just talked about you brought up movies. I in our house we're like huge movie snobs, you could say. So I'm excited about this category. What was your favorite question? Do you remember? For
movies, at least.
Give us like a movie question.
Well, I love the movie Sandlot. Have you ever seen that movie?
We actually just watched it. I want to say like 3 weeks ago.
Okay, all right. So what's the name of the dog in the movie?
Oh, is it Petey?
No,
that's Petey's from The Little Rascals, right? I don't remember his name.
I think it was Petey, yeah, but you don't know Hercules.
I knew that. Dang
How about whose autograph was on the baseball that Smalls hit the home run?
Oh, no, I don't know that because I don't care about baseball.
Babe Ruth. That's the autograph on the baseball.
Oh, the candy bar. Yes. Oh, man. See,
the great Bambino.
I need the game. I need to.
Yes, this game will help you in all things fun, I promise.
Oh, my gosh. So let's hit on some of the other categories. So, you have clothing in there, toy brands. You mentioned different American companies. Would you say that this truly showcases American culture as a whole?
I think it does.
Yeah.
I don't think it goes far enough, to be honest with you, because I mean, you can't put American culture in a box.
I love that.
That's kind of how I
That
feel
should
about
be your
this.
tagline.
That's actually a good one. Came up with that. But
Yeah,
anyways,
I love that. That's amazing.
but I mean, that's the randomness almost of all the questions, and then also at the same time, like trying to get people from all different types of life that live in America.
Yeah.
We kind of had to really do some serious research as to like who would know what, and I would never know that. Yeah, but you wouldn't know that, but I would know that. So it's like it's almost like random at times, but at the same time, it's educational.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned BB, your amazing girlfriend, who was such help with this endeavor. How was it working together while you are a couple?
Yeah, I think it was very easy. You got to find the right partner when you work with somebody, as you know. When you work with somebody that you're in a relationship with, excuse me, you got to find the right partner first. Second thing is talking about business only. You really have to focus on what strengths each other have. BB is super organized. She can build websites. She's very into TikTok and Instagram just because of her job. So like that's a strength. I don't even know how to open up TikTok.
Same. Same.
Like I honestly, I struggle with those things. And even when it comes to like building websites and whatnot, like I kind of struggled with that. I know exactly how I envisioned it, but I
from your design.
Exactly. Yeah, but I couldn't execute it,
Yeah.
But it was good. It was great. The one thing that I would tell people if you're going to go on an endeavor with somebody that you're in a relationship with is don't let everything be about work.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we launched our Kickstarter, which by the way is 110% funded as of today. So we reached our goal.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That's amazing.
You. So everybody that purchases the game will get it in the mail. What I was going to say is when we first launched our Kickstarter, it was every single conversation that we had was about Green Card Game. And every single conversation was about Kickstarter and videos and all that stuff. And I was like, we have to have fun. Like we have to keep things lighthearted and fun between us. We have to remember that we still love each other and that this business is not us, right?
Right.
So I ended up buying tickets to the Panthers-Rangers game.
That's
and
fun.
So we went to watch the Panthers win, and it was nice. It brought back in a little bit of fun and like, okay, stop thinking about work because this isn't our full-time job. Like this is just a passion side project for us that we're hoping scales and grows. So you work 9 to 5, and then all of a sudden you come home and you work more, and it's like, all right, where do we have fun?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to keep a balance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when it's a project that you're literally creating in your, dining room table and in your spare time. But it's paid off because look at it.
Let's hope it does. I looks good.
Think you have a lot to celebrate already. I think you both do.
Thank you.
And it definitely will because it's amazing.
Thank you.
Let's briefly talk about the physical design of the game.
Yeah. So this is the first design, like I said. Index study cards with address stickers, just wrote everything, bunch of random questions, put it in this box, and this was kind of the idea for it. And then for the instruction booklet.
I love that. That's
thank
so
you.
Cool.
You can see it's, like a passport. And then basically what I did was that on my dad's printer, I cut all the pages out. I double-sided taped it. I made it look as professional as possible. And then you can see here, it's all my dad's handwriting and all of his notes. So
no way.
My dad was a huge part in creating this this card game and whatnot. So it went from this to, okay, let's actually make this like legit. I had so many different designs and then ended up with what you see here. So the box at the bottom of it, actually, if you scan that QR code, it takes you straight to the website. So you can kind of check out our videos and you can check out, how to play and all that stuff. But yeah, so you open it up and you see here is the booklet. And then inside of it actually has another barcode. Whereas if you didn't like to read how to play the game, you could just scan it and watch a video. Very easy. Actually, hold on. This isn't the one that we're coming to market with. This is the one we're coming to market with. So, excuse me. The box has 300 general trivia questions right here. It's kind of hinted within the color shift. So 300 general trivia questions, 2 questions per card. So, and again, we kept the same design as the index study card. So you have that right there. And then these are your green cards right here. And again, question on the back, just 1 question per it. So that way, again, you have to collect 3 of these in order to win the game.
Oh my gosh.
Again, designed like the study index cards.
This is so fun. Can I read this question?
Yeah, absolutely. Go right ahead.
So it says, how many times did Ross Geller get divorced in the TV show Friends?
Oh, I don't know this one. That was your question, babe. I think it was
that
4 times or something like that.
3
times. Okay. All right. Yeah. 3 times. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of the thing. I mean, there's so many random questions in here.
I love that. That's hilarious.
A lot of fun. Yeah. And so again, all the information's in the booklet and how to play and yeah. So that was the design aesthetic of it, is just to keep it clean, fun, and really
it looks beautiful.
Look American.
And I love that it is travel friendly.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Even though it's, heavy, and as it should be because it's a lot of cards, it's small enough where you can just chuck it in the car and go on a road trip.
Yeah, we actually were playing we were playing in the airplane the other day.
Yeah.
We were flying to Massachusetts for Independence Day, and I brought the game with us to play with my family up there, and we just had it out, and my brother and BB and I were just playing it right on our little table. So it was fun. Yeah. And it even got to the point where other people in other aisles were like,
well, that's what I was going to ask you, where people are going like, what is that? Where do I get that?
Yeah, well, I don't think it got that far because everybody I feel like is in their own bubble on airplanes. But like some people were, you could tell they were like trying to like whispering the answers to each other and everything. So it was fun. It was cute.
That is, that's really, really cool. Yeah. That's super, super fun.
Thank you.
So we talked about how you had a little bit of trouble getting the game manufactured in the U.S. and how that is something that's important to you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So this right here, you could see, how it's beat up and whatnot. I mean, the quality of this game, you can see it's just really not there. I don't even want to dive into the rest of the components of the game, but the quality just wasn't there. I worked with a company that was one of the major printers in the U.S., but they don't specialize in card games. They just kind of print pamphlets and all that stuff. But they're based out of South Carolina. And the cost was astronomical. I mean, they wanted to charge me like $100,000 for just the cards. And it's like, I can't, how do you expect me to start a business off of that? Right.
Right.
So I went to other companies, excuse me. I went to other companies in the US that specialize in card games and board games. And every single one of them said, as soon as you reach 250 or 500 units, they outsource it to China. And I'm just like, well, then why am I going to pay you to do that if that's what I'm going to have to do, because I can't find anybody in the US that's willing to do this right now. So hopefully we could build a strong enough of a community in the US to where people, purchase this game at high volumes. That way we can make it in the United States. It's cheaper for me to make this sample in China and put it on a boat, and then it goes on a truck, and then it goes on another truck, and then it comes to me in Florida than it was for me to make it in South Carolina. And that broke my heart. It totally did. And so because of that, unfortunately, for the beginning of this game, I have to, go elsewhere outside of the country. But again, with hopes to bring it back here, so that way we can bring the economy. I mean, it's not like I'm changing the economy with this, but that way I can give Americans the opportunity to make money off of this game as well.
Yeah. No, I completely understand that. Yeah. And I think it's important for people to know, that way they understand that they're not just buying a game and enjoying it, but they're also going to be helping you do something that means a lot to you, which is to bring it back to the U.S.
Absolutely. So the 2 things that I'm trying to hit with this game is, 1, bring it back to domestic production. And the second thing is actually a portion of proceeds for the game are going to go towards American education, various American education programs.
That's really nice.
Because thank you. Yes, it's
That's
important.
really, really nice.
It's important to give back, especially to have skin in the game. Like you have to give back, right? So like, this whole idea of this game is education. So like, we got to give back to those, to the teachers and to the students, to the schools and everything. So that's hopefully what we can do.
Yeah. I can see this game being used in a classroom and just the kids having so much fun.
I hope. Yeah.
No, definitely. You're going to unburden a lot of teachers with their lesson planning with this game, because teachers have to get so creative to spark interest, and you did it for them. It's already here in a box, just
I'm happy
waiting.
to help. I had a lot of great teachers growing up. I didn't really listen to a lot of them because I was not that good of a student.
I think we can all say that.
Yeah, it's true.
Who was your favorite teacher? Do you remember?
Oh man, that's a good question. I mean, I'm not going to use my coach, Coach DeSico. He was awesome, but I would say, well, he count. I mean, he taught me a lot of other things outside of the classroom, but he was a gym teacher and he was my coach. But I would say my favorite teacher was actually probably Mr. I forget his name, Schweitzer. He was my art teacher.
Oh, nice.
The one thing that he said to me that stuck with me to this day is that no piece of art is ever done and no piece of art is ever good enough. And that kind of stuck with me forever, because it's just like, yeah, you're right. Because designs are always changing. Everything is evolving constantly. Yeah. So, if I designed a piece of clothes or, if I designed a jacket, I'm like, I can never do this as good again. The next season, I have to do it just as good, if not better. So that's kind of, I use that mentality with me every time.
That's really interesting, though, because especially for somebody that maybe suffers from perfectionism, you never really let something go because you feel like it's not good enough yet. So that's interesting that he would say that to you. Yeah. And you found that so helpful, because it's true. If you wait for it to be perfect, it might never happen.
Yeah, and then you can always evolve and work on it, right?
Exactly.
Like he told me a lot of other things, like, hey, get off your phone and hey, start focusing. But that was like the one thing that
we
really
definitely need to hear that
all
the time. Get off your phone. That's really, really nice that you remember that.
Yeah. That's definitely the one thing that kind of helped me drive forward. Actually, now that you say that, I had a math teacher. I'm not going to name his name. I respect him a lot, though. But I told him I wanted to be a clothing designer, and he told me that was never going to happen.
Oh, no.
And I ended up working as hard as I could to get to where I was, and I actually ended up designing the clothes that he ended up wearing for the school that I used to go to. So
does he know that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but it's just kind of funny how that works out. Like, he told me, you're never going to be a clothing designer. I ended up becoming a clothing designer. And the clothes that the team wore were the clothes that I designed.
That is.
Yeah. Sometimes you really need somebody to be mean to you.
Yeah.
And kind of, be a bully in order for you. And I'm not saying the teacher was a bully by any means, but like you need somebody.
No, but that was not so nice to crush a kid's dream like that. Like, you're never gonna.
I mean, I don't. It kind of builds, you build that mental callus.
Right. Sometimes I feel like people need to hear, like be shocked into reality, because some kids really dream up weird stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
like, I'm never going to read a book, but I'm going to be a great writer. Yeah. It's like, what?
I mean, the thing is that like you got to learn no every now and then. I feel like everybody's just like so obsessed with yes, and it's like, no, like, you're not going to get that answer your whole life. Like people are going to,
They're going to be a lot of no's.
You're going to have more no's than yeses in your whole life. That's for absolutely sure. So.
Yeah. You might as well get comfortable.
Yeah. or get uncomfortable and strive to push forward.
Exactly. In your case, you were like, well, watch and see.
I'll show you.
But that's a testament to your personality, because you didn't accept the no.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which is important.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yeah, thanks.
So, we are a literary podcast, and we've been talking about education and all these things. So I have to ask you, do you have a favorite book or a favorite author?
Picture books, my favorite books.
Yeah.
I would say my favorite book, I don't really read much. like
That's
book
okay.
wise.
Lots of adults don't because there's just no time.
There's just no time. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you for making me feel better about
No,
myself.
it's true. And I also love picture books. Like I love collecting children's books.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially like the Mo Willems series. Oh my gosh, I love those books so much.
Well, I used to love like the Goosebumps series when I was a kid.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, I actually just thought of this.
I think they're making a comeback.
Are they?
Because you know the 90s are back.
Well, it's like nostalgia
So
thing.
it's like,
absolutely.
yeah.
I see it in the clothing industry right now. It's like everything is just like 90s nostalgic.
Right.
Yeah. So, but there was a book. Remember like the Scholastic book fairs and whatnot?
Yes. I would make my little list and walk through and grab all my stuff, my books, the pencils,
all the stickers,
erasers.
And
yes.
And you guess how many gumballs are in the jar and everything. Yeah. Absolutely. So I remember, I forget what the book's name is, but it was about a World War II soldier. It was his diary. It was his personal diary that they ended up making into a book. And I read the whole book, and at the end of it, like literally the last line of the book was, here comes the 8th Infantry Division to, I think it was like, here comes the 8th Infantry Division to save us. And that was my grandfather's regiment. So it was just like that's probably like my favorite book for a personal reason, Of
course.
And it was just weird that like as a kid, I randomly bought this book and, and I didn't even read it as a kid. I just thought it was cool because it was World War II and I was obsessed with it. And like I was obsessed with my grandfather and everything that he went through. And then, later on, a few years later, I actually read this book and I'm like, I've been sitting on this thing for how long? Like,
that's amazing.
That's my grandfather's literally in the end of this book. So yeah, I got to find that book.
That's so cool. Yeah. You should, you should. You should let us know the title so we can link it down below for people. That's that's just a testament to the power of bearing witness to history, because that person put it down on paper, and here you are generations later being able to connect and connect to your family and to something that happened so long ago just because you read somebody's writing.
Yeah, exactly. It was just kind of wild how it was just like right there this whole time.
Yeah. So. And who knows how many people are going to have that experience through your cards when they go, oh my gosh, this question reminds me of this. And
Well, that's the funny thing is that like we'll play this game with people. And obviously when BB and I play, it's like, all right, we'll just be the dealer, or like, oh, we're just going to sit out because we know almost all the questions.
Right.
But a question was asked the other day about Smokey the Bear. And then all of a sudden it just turned into Yogi the Bear, like the conversation, and everybody was just laughing and having fun. And, oh, do you remember this episode? Oh, do you remember that? Like, and it's just funny because like a single answer or a single question in this game can spark so much connectivity between, just a question. And it's like all of a sudden you're talking about one thing and you end up at another part, but it's like everybody's just having fun and everybody's loving the moment and whatnot. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I have one request.
Sure.
And you don't feel obligated to give it much thought. But I thought you could use a new category to your add-on package.
Okay, let's hear it.
Brace yourself. What if you had a conspiracy theory category?
So, funny enough.
You have it?
We don't have it yet.
Okay.
But it's definitely something that we were thinking about, right? So with the expansion decks that we're talking about, like right now we wanted to keep this, PG-13
and there's a lot going on.
Yes, there's
already.
a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah.
So, there's 300 questions for general trivia. So, and there's 2 questions per card. So that means there's 600 general trivia questions in this deck. So there's a lot already. But with your point about the conspiracy theory, we actually do have ideas of coming out with, like, I love America. I love this country, but we're not perfect. We've done some pretty shady stuff in the past.
And it's fun.
And it's fun to learn about it. It's not fun, the stuff that we do.
No, that's not what I meant. Oh my gosh, we're going to get canceled.
Just messing with you. But it's fun to learn about, like, oh wow, I can't believe like the American government did this. Like that's interesting, like that's horrible, but that's interesting. So yeah, we have this idea of like 18 years and older, like you can play this deck. And it's going to be like conspiracy theories, like dirty politics, stuff like that, you know, because
I'm super excited for that.
You know, there's other card games out there that like, they don't say like, oh, 18 years or older. And then you have kids playing this game and it's just like, whoa, you should not be playing that game. And it's just kind of wild that like, there's no, you know, I don't want to say obstruction, but like, there's just nothing stopping people from doing that. But like, we're hoping to have, you know, like a deeper, darker fun within that type of category with this game.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
The history and the making and everything that went into working on this.
Yes.
We are so excited for you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy we got to connect and discuss about this. This is great. Yeah, thank you so much.
And if you are obviously listening, just make sure to check out all the links. And if you're watching on YouTube, there will be links down below to your website, to the Kickstarter, to everything, how to obtain the game.
Yes.
So make sure you go ahead and support Max and you let us know once you play how much fun you're having.
Please do reach out to us at thegcg.us. We will, you know, respond absolutely. And we hope that you all enjoy the game.
Absolutely. Yes. And thank you to everybody who's listening, who's watching, who's doing a little bit of both, for spending your time with us. We know time is the top currency nowadays. And the fact that you chose it to spend with us means so much. And we will see you next time.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Of course.